Hey friends, it's like 4:47 in the morning. We have a flashlight today, which is kind of fun. We're gonna do like 5 miles, maybe 6, depending on how fresh I feel. And it's like 47 degrees in Chicago, so it's doable. So let me pop you in my head and we'll get to work. But welcome to Sunday Sips. All right. But hey, Pretentious Engineer here. I know you didn't ask, but I'm a busy guy. Between global leadership, engineering, and raising 4 kids in Chicago. So I gotta do my pod on the run. But welcome to Sunday Sips, where I curate my latest thoughts on engineering, global leadership, entrepreneurship, fitness, family, all the fun things. And today, we're going to talk about consistency and how to show up diligently every day and do the hard things that nobody does. So I'll see you on mile 1 and we'll chat a little bit. It'll be fun, but I gotta get back to it. Hey friend. So confidence, not confidence. I mean, we can talk about confidence, but what are we talking about today? I'm already a little fuzzy. Let's walk. Whew. Pace is a little high today. I don't know what's up. Do I need to do the spooky ghost mode? Blind myself for the sake of y'all. Consistency. There we go. My brain found it. For some reason our pace is too quick. Are we spooked out by the dark? I've never ran with a flashlight before. I actually prefer pitch black. And I feel like I could see more with a light. People could see me. There's not a lot of cougars or bears out here, so ideally we live. But I want to talk through how to become consistent. It's something I'm working on our Sunday Sips newsletter for, so I figure I'll verbally process it with all of you, and then I'll put something good down on paper that's a little bit more focused, and then heck, we'll record that as a podcast too. It'll be fun. But one of the first principles of consistency that I've found is this idea: if we're looking at, I want to lose weight, like let's do a very simple goal, something that's taken me years to figure out how to do. And we want to be consistent in the progress we make in those spaces. One of the first things to recognize is you're already consistent. You're consistent at the wrong things. And some would argue, it's your fault. It's not your fault. Like, I tend right in the middle of that tension. Like, I do think health and wellness, while there are certain predispositions from a genetics and a metabolism perspective, the vast majority of it is behavioral. And if you continue to be larger than you want to be, or you continue to gain weight over time, just based on trauma, stress, and other things, like, you've likely been socialized into certain patterns of movement or lack thereof, as well as socialized into certain eating rituals that don't actually serve your body. And there's likely some knowledge gaps as well, which is common in health and wellness. But the first thing to recognize before you start trying to change everything, which also doesn't work when we're talking about consistency, is to recognize that you have an existing rhythm of life that you consistently do very well. You wake up maybe a little bit later, you sleep in, you have your bowl of Captain Crunch, hop in your car, drive to work, sit at a desk for 8 to 10 hours, circle the donut table. This isn't judgment, this is me. I'm just talking to me, right? The days pass. Go home, you're lethargic, you have back pain so you can't run and play with your kids the way you want. Maybe you sneak in like a guilt-driven workout thinking that will fix everything magically. Eat a heavy double, triple portion dinner, all kinds of deep fried crap. Go out with friends and eat a whole bunch of junk. Go to bed late after binging video games. And you're kind of doom scrolling and aren't ready for the next day to start because the day you just had was really hard and you're living for weekend experiences. You're consistent in that rhythm and routine, which means that you have demonstrated to yourself that you can be consistent at something. It's just not the right things. So then the next mile we'll talk about, well, what can you do to shift and adjust. So let me pop you in my head. It's dark, it's scary. Luckily it's not too cold. It was 12 degrees earlier last week. That was god awful, especially that half marathon. What were we thinking? Okay, friends, it's a little scary out. I don't know why running with a flashlight makes it worse. It's probably because it's blinding for me. I did see a bunny though, that was cool. Consistency walking. We have seriously dead legs today. I don't know if it's because we went to bed at 11. Woke up at 3 a.m. taking care of a baby. That'll probably do it. So, lesson 1. You're already consistent. Hit off the wrong things. Now, what a lot of folks will do, myself included, these are all learnings from prior Joe over the years, is we hit this rock bottom point. Whether it's pain, we look in the mirror and don't like what we see, we feel like we're losing mobility, sweating when we're walking up the stairs with our colleagues. That was a big one for me. I like, get it together, Joe. And not being able to pick up our kids, that was a big one for me too. So we hit this rock bottom and we realize how far we've descended away from the life or goals we desire for ourselves. Now, what is very natural to happen next in those situations is we think we know things. And what I mean by that is we'll be like, okay, I gotta go for a run every single day. I gotta run 3 miles. I gotta lift weights 5 days a week. And I can't eat sugar. And I can't eat carbs. And I can't eat dessert, which is also still sugar. And I need to fix all my portion sizes. I need to cook at home every single day, no matter what. And I can't eat at work ever. And like, we try to turn every single knob we can possibly think of because we're in crisis mode and we watched an episode of Biggest Loser and we think we could just do that with no accountability, no support. And we all know what happens, right? We go out, we run a couple days, we pull a hamstring, and we end up back on the couch. And we end up in these like start-stop loops over and over again without progress, or we'll be really great with nutrition for like 2 weeks, and then we binge crazy hard when we're finally like, oh, it's Mexican night. And I think, one second, I'm trying to see, I want to go that way. Apparently I can't. That's where the sidewalk ends. So we try to turn all the knobs at once. So if we're trying to become consistent in something, like for me, I've consistently posted like 1,800 pieces of short form content over the last 5 years, but I haven't done it every single day. Sometimes I did 8 videos in a day. Sometimes I batch edited on a Monday and launched it throughout the week. Like, the rhythm can change, but the output was the right output. That's what we want to optimize for. Whew. So what we want to do is find the highest leverage knob you can turn for you. And it's probably, if you're honest with yourself, it's probably one of the most uncomfortable ones. It's probably not going to start off super easy. I think that's a good trail, but I have a rule right now because I have no idea where I'm at of like only go straight. It's a very interesting way to run. I don't normally run this way. Like, just go straight and trust that you'll find your way back to your car someday, even though it's like 2.5 miles away. But you want to find the highest leverage item, and you want to spend a decent amount of time really thinking about it. And then when you find it, you want to break that item into smaller chunks. What I mean by that is you realize, okay, if I incorporate movement into my day consistently, I'm going to lose more weight. So it doesn't mean we're going to run 3 miles every single day and we're going to get 1,400 steps or 14,000 steps every day, and we're going to have movement breaks every 2 hours for 30 minutes. Like, we tend to like turn everything up to max and then fail. So you want to figure out like overall what's going to have the highest impact on whatever you're trying to accomplish and, you know, have consistency with, and then break it into a small, fundamental, accessible thing you can do, and something you could do like every day. And that's really tricky because it requires contentment that the journey's not going to take 30 days. It's going to take like months and years potentially, but you're establishing that you're worth the journey. So I'll leave you with that one. Think about that. We'll start jogging. This is going to turn into a walk jog. I'm really winded today. Not exactly sure why. And very lactic acidy, just grumpy legs. So I want to focus on good form and focus on distance versus like speed. So let me pop you on my head. We're almost at the turnaround. We're just going to do 5 miles today, but we're in completely new territory. It's kind of fun, and I haven't been attacked by a bear yet, so that's great. So interesting. Flip it up. Blind. So like, all these laps are slow. Although I guess maybe they're not slow because I'm walking. So maybe that's why I'm coming in slow. I'm walking and I'm running too fast. And maybe that's the next lesson for consistency. Right? You found your highest leverage opportunity. You've broken it into smaller pieces, something you can do every day that's small. And maybe the next one is kind of a mix, I would say, plan and pacing. And maybe today's a great example, because the pacing on this run don't make a lick of sense And I'm making it harder on myself by going hard and fast and then slowing down the way that I am. So when you're thinking about progress, you're picking this highest leverage thing, and in the back of your mind you're thinking, okay, if I look in the mirror, again, we're using fitness, but this could be for checking email quicker, keeping up with your work, playing with your kids, all the things, right? You could desire consistency in any of it, which is pretty cool, actually. But what I would say is, like, with pacing, recognize you don't have to be perfect, and this goes into plan, but there is a value in setting up, a checkbox system where you're measuring inputs, not outputs. A lot of folks get focused too much on measuring outputs. And outputs are incredibly important, but for something that has a longer time horizon, sometimes you need to set success as doing the right inputs. And that forces you, as uncomfortable as it is, to put full focus on the inputs. So for me, like, I wasn't weighing inconsistently, because for me, losing weight wasn't the goal, even though I'm 300 pounds, I'm like 6'5" or 6'5", oh my god, 6'3". Losing weight wasn't the ultimate goal. The goal was to regress back pain, have better nights of sleep. So really building core and back strength. So if I measured anything, it was looking at what did I lift last week, and did I lift something similar or better this week. But on certain weeks where life was busy, establishing success as, did I lift? As opposed to the amount I lifted, right? Like, you could keep pulling it in and adjusting it. So that was always fun to navigate. So you want to have a plan. You want to have a box you can check off, but you want the box to be an internal process-driven component versus an external measurable piece of process or progress. It's okay to measure that progress, but you can't have progress be your fuel if you're trying to be consistent, because you make great progress at one point, right? So maybe you get this little bump of confidence, so you take it easy, and then you have a little bit less progress or a regression, so then you fall off the wagon. So I would say certain stuff like checking your weight, fitness tests, the outputs measure on a longer time horizon, like once per month. That means you only have 12 moments of check-in, and then set your inputs, like lock those in, and then as you get good at an input, add another input you can be consistent in and build from it little by little. All right, let me pop in my head. Let's run out. We're almost at 4 miles. This is just a bear today, man. I do not know what's up. And I think my wife texted me, so let me also check my phone. Hi. You run. We're at 4 miles. that last one we ran pretty quick. That word, kids are awake, you gotta come home. I'm like, okay, let me just magically, this isn't a dig on my wife, it's a mindset. I was like, let me just magically run 1.75 miles in 2 minutes, eh? Oh God, I can't run that fast. But anyway, consistency as we recover for that last little sprint. Whew. You know, I had all these notes I was gonna say and check between each lap. It's fun going with what's top of mind. It's exciting. You never know where this podcast is going. Now that I officially have made myself start one, I was like, you thought about it for too long. You're stressed about it. And I went back and checked. And when I first got into podcasting, I went to like this podcasting convention and like thought, all right, my whole model's gonna pivot from YouTube to podcasting. I did like 74 episodes. They were all over the map. Didn't make any sense. No organization. And maybe this connects with, you know, this ruthless prioritization. We're talking about finding that highest leverage thing, like learning how to prune down to what's essential. And maybe the lesson for this mile is to then condition and lock mindset around the rhythm and routine. And what I mean is anything, and I firmly believe this, and y'all can argue in the streets about it, anything in your life that you truly desire consistency in is the showstopper. Anything. Health, wellness, finances, any of these things. You will never find consistency in it if you're making decisions off of feelings. You really need to adopt at times, you know, an F your feelings kind of mindset. Like, I was hoping that my son Akio would wake up at 4 so I can give him a bottle, get out here around 4:30, you know, get an extra hours of sleep. He woke up at 3. So I'm feeding him till like 3:40 because he needed 2 bottles. Love the little champ. So it's 3:40. I know, because I'm honest with myself, regardless of feeling, that if I lay back down in bed, especially without setting an alarm, and I can't set an alarm because it'll wake up the baby, that I will naturally wake up at 6:15, have to get all the kids going with breakfast, all the hoopla will start, and then I'll feel this pressure of all the job apps I gotta get in and all the content I need to do and all the cleaning because we're co-living with grandparents right now. You know, all these things, all of them will 100% block me from going out to this trail and doing something I hate, which is running for a long time of far distance. And even though there's been variability in my pacing, my form, normally I'm running and talking, and today I'm like, I need the recovery. You know, I'm not well slept. In that moment of my son waking up at 3, I had to start telling myself, okay, we're awake. We're going to be awake. We're going to stay awake. He ate the whole bottle. Let's go make him another bottle. We're still awake. We set off. But like, I made decisions when I wasn't in that feeling space the night before. I put my GoPro out on a table, had batteries set up, I have a GUI packet that I didn't use. I decided I'm going to try to run with a flashlight, which is blinding. I set out all my winter gear. I had washed my gloves, which were sweaty from the half marathon. I had told myself, okay, but it's been a week since the half marathon. You can start locking back in your longer distances. Like, I prepared the headspace when I wasn't in the middle of a rough morning, so that there were less and less barriers for me to push through. You know, being here still sucks, but it clarifies my head. So I think for you, whatever you want to have consistency in, right now you need to have a very real honest honest conversation with yourself, that even though you found the highest leverage thing and you broke it into small pieces and you got your 40-day checkbox posted next to your computer or whatever it is to hold you accountable, you need to be very honest with you that you're doing this whether you feel like it or not. Because as soon as fitness, finance, marriage, parenting, work, whatever these things drift into, you'll do a good job based on how you feel, we all fall off the wagon. Alright, we got half a mile to run, and then we'll have our lingering thoughts on consistency. Ooh, I love that though. Forget your feelings. Get on my head. Well, friends, hopefully, where are you? Hopefully that was fun and stuff. Was it fun? I don't know. Doesn't need to be fun. It's fun when it's done. That's my motto. Okay. So, your last little tidbit for consistency, and it's a good one. It's the golden nugget. It's what you've been looking for. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. But you have to reach this place in your mindset where you realize a lot of the good and great things in your life don't come from comfort and ease. It doesn't come from a perfectly air-conditioned climate, nice warm cozy blankets, perfectly delicious every time. When you optimize on comfort, you choose pain downstream. But if you really want to build towards something profound in your life, in your career, in your family, in your health, you have to become more and more content locking in things that are hard and uncomfortable and doing them well and making it look like ease to everyone on the outside. And they don't see that you're on day 520. They think this is just who you are. It's a skill, not a trait, and I think anyone can learn it. Anyway, you can sip on that. Be blessed, friends. See you on the next one. Keep changing the world.